Hello everyone, this is Crystal, aka Sauce.
And this is Tanya, aka Season. We wanted to take this time to give you a brief introduction about who we are and why we decided to start this podcast.
This is Crystal. I am a wife, a mother, a God lover. I am also a licensed associate professional counselor, which means that my goal is to help others through depression and other things that they may be struggling with. I love giving back to my community. I love volunteering and helping others. I just have a heart of service, and that's my major goal to do throughout my life.
Okay, and this is Tanya. I am a licensed trained professional speech language pathologist, as well as a wife, a mother of 4, and now a grandmother of 2 special little joys. I like to do a number of things in the community, and I also help out with community service. I am a minister. I was licensed when I was 23 to minister, so I have that background as well. The reason we started the podcast is because we often have conversations with one another, and we find that it helps us to discuss things that women are going through with one another. And because of that, we wanted to start this chat so that maybe others can be encouraged by some of the questions that we may have.
And the reason I decided to join this podcast and to do it with my mom is because she forced me. I'm just kidding. Seriously though, the reason why I decided to do this, especially for those who know me, they know that this is probably out of my comfort zone because this isn't really things that I like to do. But I felt like it was a great way to let people in on what me and my mom kind of talk about, because like she said, I think a lot of people could benefit and probably often experience some of the same things that we talk about and don't really have somebody to talk to. So it's like a way for us to be able to engage with other people, and they can kind of sit in on some of our chat that we usually have with each other. So I think this is just a great opportunity to do one of the things I said I love to do, which is give back and to have that conversation about serious things that people go through and sometimes that I struggle with, and having another person just to kind of bounce ideas off of is so helpful. So I think this is just a great opportunity to give back to other people too.
Especially since some of our conversations are often very deep. There are conversations that sometimes we don't always agree on. And it's nice to see a different perspective. You know, I'm really old school, and that's where Season came from. And she's more new school. That's where Sauce came from. And so sometimes we don't have the same perspective on life. Mm-hmm. And sometimes even some biblical things we don't always see eye to eye. But we're learning from one another, and we're growing. And we just wanted to bring this forum about so that maybe those people that are her age, my age, mixed age, whatever, can get the same type of help, information, and insight.
Definitely. And like my mom said, we don't always agree on everything from each other. But I think one thing that we've learned to do is to listen to each other and to really understand that although she may have a different point of view and I may have a different point of view, we can learn from each other. We can get something from each other. And then aside from just listening, we've learned how to compromise, meaning that we both have understood that everything that she says is going to be for me and everything that I tell her is going to be for her. So she has to learn how to pick and choose those pieces that she does align with. And I have to pick and choose those pieces that I align with and compromise with her on some of even her thought processes. So I think that's something that people could learn from and listen as they listen into us do it. And it's just a great forum for us to say, hey, this is a great way for us to just let everybody in on the inside.
Right. And I just want to let you know a little bit about how we got the name Sauce and Season. We put out a poll with a couple of our friends to ask them what did they think a mother-daughter podcast should be named. And we have one special friend. Her name is Methany Thornton. Whoop, whoop to Meth. And she shot back a couple of different names, but we chose the Sauce and the Season because it was a perfect example of our different personalities. I don't know if you looked at a couple of our pictures, but if you see, I'm a little wilder than Crystal. Sometimes we wonder if she's mom and I'm daughter, but that's just because I have a different nature, and we've learned to respect those differences. So we wanted that to be shown in our name, in our picture, and even in our conversation pieces. Mm-hmm. So Methany helped us with that, and that's why we chose Sauce and Season. Sauce is a new term, genre, and then Season is an older term for, women who have grown a little bit more, matured a little bit more, and gone through a little bit more.
And we just thought that this name really matched us. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's creative, it's colorful, basically, if you look at our logo.
Right.
It's really like the perfect blending. Although I am not the most outgoing person like my mom, I do like those vibrant type colors, and I do like to be on the more edgy side. So I think this was just a great name for us.
Right.
And our logo just perfectly matches exactly what we really envisioned for having this particular podcast.
That's correct.
So we hope that you enjoyed this brief introduction and that you was able to get some insight into not only who we are, but why we decided to start this podcast and what our goals are and what we hope to gain from this podcast, which is mainly, if you didn't get it by now, is to give back to others and to really allow other people to have another forum to have these conversations that we're having and think about these conversations that we're having, and maybe even have these conversations with other people that you know after you listen to these podcasts that we have. So we don't want to hold you up any longer. So please take this time to go ahead and press play and listen to our very first podcast, which is titled Letters to My Daughter.